Aldersgate, ignite the fire.
What we did in 2001 was a tremendous decision, and it's provided us with the opportunities that we couldn't have done a decade before. And the bank has treated us very kindly. Nevertheless, what we really want to do is pay them their due and then get on with ministry as God's invited us to do it.
In 2001, Aldersgate United Methodist Church took a leap of faith. As a congregation, we stepped out with trust in the Lord and broke ground on an ambitious building project, which dramatically expanded our church campus. This has led to incredible growth in our ministry and outreach. Let's look at the fruit of our 2001 leap in faith. The expansion of our church campus has opened up the heart of the church for all to benefit. Our atrium area is often the first impression people receive when entering our building. As a gathering space, it accommodates large groups and encourages the mingling of God's people whenever it is used. Thanks to this larger gathering space, we have been able to witness joyful times, as well as come together in more somber times. It allows us to meet in fellowship before and after services and host gatherings that would not have been possible in any other space. Our expanded offices and new classrooms have encouraged the membership of this congregation to grow in our knowledge of Christ. We are now able to host a wide variety of Sunday school classes and Bible studies and provide age-appropriate spaces for all of our young people. The ministries that have grown out of this expansion have served to meet the needs of the people within this church and in the community at large. The Family Life Center provides a recreational space as well as an alternative meeting space for special gatherings. Sports groups use the Family Life Center for games and practice, while other groups use the center and its adjacent expanded kitchen facilities to host luncheons and dinners. Our youth program has been able to expand its reach to nearby Harrison High School, allowing us to host an average of 300 students each week for a hot breakfast. 2001 also saw us remodeling our basement area for the benefit of our youth group, giving them a secure space to explore their relationship with Christ and with each other. We were able to give both Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops a dedicated space to meet. The youth are preparing to become the next generation of leaders for this church community.
One thing that really excites me about us paying off the mortgage and being able to have an additional $8,000 a month is what we can use some of that money for in youth ministry, to expand the breakfast, to encourage more youth to come to the breakfast, to go to more concerts, to have more activities. And it's just so exciting to think about what that extra money can do to help us continue to minister to youth, to continue to minister to families that don't have a church home. Well, the Breakfast Club, we do it every Wednesday morning, and it's just a great opportunity to minister to and to reach out to Harrison High School, which is right next door to us. And it's just so powerful to see them talk about how much it means to them. There are kids who come and talk about how it's the only opportunity they have to have a hot breakfast. Or they talk about how they don't have an opportunity to even grab anything in the morning. So it's just a way for us to reach out to them, to minister to them. And the Family Life Center just is a great place to have those numbers and to be able to have them come and go. I came after they had done the basement, but I remember when I first came to Aldersgate, the first thing I did when I went down there was just stood in awe of that space. And I've been in so many churches and so many youth areas in the area, and there's just nothing that compares to that. And the basement and the youth ministry becomes a wonderful vehicle to invite and to get families to come that might not have otherwise come.
Many of these gatherings would not have been feasible had we not taken the steps to create a space that would invite them. Watching people come and go for the myriad of activity throughout the week, we seem to be witnessing a living testimony to the principle of open hearts, open minds, open doors. In 4 years, Aldersgate will celebrate 50 years of bringing the gospel to the local community. 50 years of touching hearts for the glory of God, of reaching out and serving those around us. 50 years have brought dramatic changes in the world, and we have seen the generations come and go, but one thing remains constant: the need for God in our everyday lives. The Open Hearts, Open Minds, Open Doors campaign allowed us to enlarge our church campus and increase our ministry. And while we should be proud of the efforts and progress we have made, there is so much more to do. There are so many areas of mission and ministry that go unfunded and therefore undone because of the debt service we currently pay. For most of the past decade, we have had a mad scramble at the end of each year as we try to satisfy our connectional ministry obligations. We discontinued our Saturday service primarily because we ran out of funding. We have relied upon the endowment fund to help us address some of the most basic of needs. We have fallen far behind the curve compared to many growing churches in terms of our technological limitations. We have left maintenance undone, and we have been handcuffed in our ministry dreams because the conversation always seems to turn quickly to the question of how will we pay for it? What would our measure of support for the Youth Home, United Caring Shelters, Kenya Mission, Patchwork Central, or Habitat for Humanity if we weren't paying down our debt?
We could increase the number of mission projects that we are able to support and to fund, and the sky would be the limit. We have around 15 or 16 kids that come every Thursday, and they play and they pray and they have Bible study and do music and are tutored, and that's one day a week. It could be expanded to every afternoon, and the kids would love it, and it would give our folks a chance to volunteer in ministry and mission. More children and more families. You know, I think that reaching out to the families is incredibly important. You know, I think that mission is so integral to the nature of the church that, and I truly believe that mission is a two-way street, so that the more we participate in mission, the more we actually receive back. The giver becomes a receiver, and the receiver becomes a giver. And so I think it's really important for many reasons to become an increasingly missional church. And I think our church has been extremely generous and extremely outreach-oriented over the years, and this will just continue. This will be so much more effective than putting $8,000 a month into the bank. And as good stewards of our resources, we can do so much better than that.
Our previous campaign of Open Hearts, Open Minds, Open Doors allowed us to raise $1.9 million toward funding the expanded campus that we currently enjoy. Once the dust from the construction settled and we were able to enjoy the fruits of our labors, we also were left with a series of mortgages from the previous capital campaign and other additional needs that now total $1.1 million. Our current mortgage payments total up to $8,000 per month. This $8,000 does nothing more than reduce the balance of the loans that we must pay, with a substantial amount of interest over the life of these loans. Imagine if that $8,000 could be lifted up to the glory of God. What would we do? What could we do? What are our goals as a church family? Where do we want to focus our ministries in the coming years? These are the questions we must ask ourselves as we prayerfully consider this plan to ignite the fire and burn our mortgage. 10 years ago, we stepped forward in faith and committed to reaching out to the community as the Lord has commanded. We can see the fruits of our labors wherever we look. Now, it is time to search our hearts and begin the process of prayer to seek the Lord's will for the next phase of our ministry. It will take commitment and sacrifice to move toward retiring this debt, and each of us will play a part. Let the Lord enter your heart and guide your thoughts and prayers toward His will for your giving. It is through the gifts of each of us that we will be able to further the glory of God at Aldersgate United Methodist Church.
Imagine if we had an additional $8,000 a month or $96,000 in a year. The things that we do are innumerable if we have the opportunity even to begin dreaming about what we might do. I think our potential is even untapped. We don't know yet what we could do if we had an additional $8,000 a month, but we would begin we would have the freedom to begin thinking about it. There are so many avenues of ministry that we could explore that we can't begin to address now, simply for lack of personal resources. As I mentioned earlier, in coming days, there are a couple of phrases that I hope will emerge and be heard by folks more than once. First one being, not equal gifts, but equal sacrifice. The other one, they've already heard and will hear again and again. Ignite the fire. And by igniting the fire, obviously there's a literal fire that we would like to ignite, and that being the mortgage, and we would like to have that eliminated in our 50th year, and that'll be 2014. So we've got a little over 3 years to accomplish that. I hope that you will, in the coming days, if you've not already done so, invite God to guide you, to encourage you in whatever way you might make your sacrifice in order to enable us as a congregation, as a church family, in a specific place and time, to dream dreams and to be the people of God in this community.